Carnie Wilson opens up about hurtful comment from music executive in the 90s. If you were a fan of Wilson Phillips in the 90s, you probably remember their iconic debut album. But what you might not know is that behind the scenes, there was a moment that left Carnie Wilson in tears and, for a while, struggling with body image. On a recent episode of the Magnificent Others podcast, Wilson shared a painful story from her early music career. As she was working on the group's first album alongside her sister Wendy and Chynna Phillips, a comment from a music executive hit her like a ton of bricks. He allegedly asked her, "What are we going to do about this weight problem of yours?" Imagine hearing that. For someone whose passion is music, and who's already under the public microscope, a statement like that can feel like a punch to the gut. Wilson vividly recalled how she ran to the bathroom, unable to hold back her tears. "I remember running into the bathroom and just sobbing," she shared. But the pain didn't end there. Wilson went on to explain how, after some time, the executive did apologize, though it took him years to come to terms with his words. "I just can't believe I said that. I am so sorry," he reportedly told her after Wilson confronted him. "It took him years to apologize," Wilson said. "I said, unacceptable. How you hurt me so badly when you did that." And then he apologized, but it wasn't an easy fix. But here's the thing. Wilson didn't just sit with the pain. She pushed back. She told the executive, "You're so funny and so great. And then you were an a-hole for saying that to me." In those words, you hear her strength, but also the rawness of what she'd been through. She even asked him, "Were you really afraid that my fat was going to make us not successful?" The conversation lightened up a bit when podcast host Billy Corgan chimed in. Jokingly, he quipped, "See, if you'd been skinny, you would have sold 11 million. This got a laugh from Wilson, who shot back with a playful, "Mother-ers." It's that kind of humor that Wilson has leaned on to cope with the ridiculous expectations of the industry. But let's talk about the deeper stuff for a second. It wasn't just the comments, it was also how Wilson was constantly positioned in music videos. She recalled how, time and time again, she was told to hide. "I had to stay in this light for my chin," Wilson said, miming how she had to cover her face to minimize her appearance. The industry's obsession with body image at the time was so intense that it actually affected her visibility, both in front of the camera and in her own self-worth. "That's so humiliating," said Corgan, but Wilson's take on it was a little different. "But I sort of embraced my role," she explained. "I kind of liked it. It was kind of like a power thing. I was different, and that's part of the armor I've had." It wasn't all bad, though. One of the most striking elements of the group's famous "You Won't See Me Cry" music video was the lingerie they wore. But for Wilson, it wasn't just about fashion, it was about pain. She had to wear corsets that constricted her body, trying to make her look as skinny as possible. "I was bleeding," she admitted. "I had sores on my waist from cinching and trying to look skinny. It was just awful." Fast forward to today, and it's clear how much things have changed. Corgan reflected, "If Wilson Phillips came out today, you would have been embraced in such a different way. You've had something to do with that body positivity stuff, but who you were and what makes you who you are, people would be so different." It's a bittersweet realization for Wilson. While she's proud of how far things have come, she can't help but feel the irony. "It's ironic," Wilson agreed. "But I never tapped into that negativity. I don't like negativity. I feel like everybody that made fun of me was just unhappy and it was an easy thing to do. It's sad because I love to lift people up. I could not understand why somebody would just make fun of me. Like, focus on the music. Who cares if I am heavier than the other two? Isn't that the real question? Why did her body even matter in the first place?" The conversation shifts to something even more important, talent. In the end, the music speaks for itself.